Welcome back. So this part is much more fun because as an educator, I find it very useful to use film in the classroom. And it can also be one of the pains because our students are not very conversant in this medium. They have not been taught or trained how to use film educationally. And so most students, um, I know this was true when I was a kid, we used to roll out the film projector. And so we used to love those days when the teacher would pull out the film projector. We said, oh man, we can take a day off, and we get really lazy. And think about perhaps your own feeling is we think it's easy to use film. Just pop a tape in. And this is a strategy that professors have been at universities have been doing for a number of years, and I think mistakenly, because they have not learned to make it educational. I'm not saying that you should always have to use documentaries. I use feature films, so things that students want to see. And so I want to engage for this portion with how to use film to talk about diversity. So one of the challenges of using film is I only have a 45-minute class. How can I use a whole film? Well, I don't think you should use the whole film for educational purposes because students can get lost because they have not been trained how to do film educationally. So they get lost in the entertainment value. They get lost in the plot. They see their favorite actress. Oh man, she's hot. I love him. Da, da, da. And so I value using film clips, short, 30-second to 10-minute clips. I rarely ever show a whole complete film in class. Even in my film classes, the classes that are designated specifically for films. Sometimes I don't show a whole film at all. I use film clips because I think the shorter the better, because you can harness the more education quicker. But if you want to enliven your classrooms, I dare you to use a film clip. If you want to bring students' attention back to the classroom, use a film clip. So this is again giving students something they want to talk about. And so what I love about using film is movies are a natural community builder. I always start my semesters by asking the same 4 questions. What's your favorite movie of all time? What's the best movie of all time? What's the worst movie of all time? And then what's your guilty pleasure movie? Your guilty pleasure movie is either a movie that you watch, you've watched it 1,000 times and it never gets old. Or it's the movie that you secretly love, but don't tell anybody you love it. My son's favorite movie, his favorite movie is The Notebook. And he watches this movie incessantly and cries every single time. And I say, son, are you crying? No, Dad. Then he goes into that whole masculine thing. Then he wipes tears and something's in my eye, whatever. So I dare you to bring those 4 questions to your classroom, because what you'll see and hear is the energy in the room change. Everybody gets really excited to talk about who their favorite actor is and all that. And so you get to learn a lot about students by what they like in terms of film. Certainly since COVID came around, we think our students have not been in school. They may have been at home, but they have been in school because film, as we've seen over the last few months, Netflix and Hulu have, and Disney Plus has really taken off because those streaming services have become our new school buildings. And so what happens is, as a what we call in sociology an agent of socialization, our movies have trained us to think about things. There's a hidden curriculum that is present in all of our film. And so in my film class, there's two main principles that I function from. One, there are no mistakes in film. Two, all film is political. Somebody's trying to share some type of message with you. And so understand that our students are getting educated. The question is, what are they getting educated in? And so I want to give you some tools to help with this battle to bring back our kids back to school. And so let me share with you that there is a way to utilize this medium to help us get educated. But there are some tools and strategies to make it a better and more useful exercise. The first tip I would give you is to use subtitles whenever you can. Students will complain. They will tell you, "Oh man, turn the subtitles off. I don't want to read the movie." And that is one of the biggest complaints. I don't want to read the movie. But guess what? Yes, you do. You really want your students' brains to be engaged, because typically it was what we use film or movies as a way to relax and unwind. I don't want to think right now. I just want to veg out on my couch. And so I press play on the DVD or whatever the streaming service is, and I sit back and I lay down and I go to sleep. So one thing to remember, the educational value is to put the subtitles on, even if they're not in the English. Some DVDs have multiple languages, and some of them are not in English. But you want their brain to be engaged. This is a great way to deal with those who might be English language learners, and to welcome them into the classroom. There's two benefits to using the subtitles. One, it engages the brain. Two, for those that might have hearing challenges, it is a much more inclusive process rather than saying, "Hey, Miss So-and-so, I need my earphones," or "I need my translator thing." So it brings them into the conversation. So it's an inclusive practice technique. The second tip I would give you is, because we're using film clips, is to summarize the entire film. It doesn't take much. Just two sentences. You can give the entire crux of a film. So always give a plot summary for your students. So give them the general overview of the film. So in this film today, we're going to be watching Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is about Ariel, the youngest of her mermaid sisters, and she is in love with a human, Prince Eric, who she has secretly been spying on from underneath the water. And then one day her dad, King Triton, finds out. Ariel is tricked by Ursula the Sea Witch into giving up her voice to trade to become human for a period of time. And the melee ensues, and you don't want to give all the endings, but Ariel is able to become a human for a period, and then through the magic of her father, she's able to remain a human forever. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So, give an overview of the film. Tell people who the main characters are. Tell people who are the actors playing them, so they have an idea. I want to model that for you. Oh, before I go into that. Tip number 3. Since you're using film clip, explain, because of the entertainment value of the film that most students have been watching, you want to make sure that you explain in detail what you want them to see. In this clip, I want you to pay attention to this. So that way they're working instead of just watching. They become an active, engaged person rather than just idly letting the messages fly into their heads. You want to tell them what to be on the lookout for, or the reason why you're using this clip. And the tip number 4, which is probably the most important one, remember that the film is a tool, it's a strategy, it's not the lesson itself. So be sure to let the film be a complement to what you've been teaching, not the end all be all. Far too many professors at the university level say, oh, I want to learn about diversity today, I'm going to put in the movie Crash. And I've watched thousands of movies in my research and in my career. There is no perfect movie. You may be challenged by this might be a good moment to say that there are some films that provide good fodder for discussion. But that means you have to watch a whole bunch of junk too, bad language and nudity and sex and all that kind of stuff. So that's why you want. See, I value using film clips so I can shape around, trim around some of that bad stuff, because there's a lot of junk out there, guys. And so I want to model here for you. I'll give you a chance to do this as well. I'm going to show you a film clip here. This comes from the film. It's called Kicking and Screaming. It stars Will Ferrell as Phil. Phil is a father who becomes his son's soccer coach. Phil, however, has never played soccer. His dad is a championship soccer coach. So Phil agrees to be his son's coach. And he competes with his dad or against his dad. And so what you're about to see, it's the first day of practice. And Phil is meeting the parents of his children on his team. I want you to pay attention because as he is talking to this set of parents, he is talking about a boy named Byung-sun. Byung-sun is a small little Asian boy. Byung-sun has 2 moms. What I want you to watch as you watch this clip, it's very short, it's only about a minute long. Phil, when he realizes their sexual orientation, I want you to watch how his reaction to this information. You're going to see him get really nervous. And I want you to pay attention to what he does and how he reacts to this knowledge. They're thinking that they're talking to their coach about how Byung-sun is shy. But pay attention to Phil's nervousness of how he reacts to this newfound knowledge.
Take that for me, buddy.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
We didn't get to introduce ourselves last time. I'm Ann Hogan.
Hi.
Donna Jones.
Hi.
You can call me Chief.
This is my son, Sam.
Hi. Hi. This is Byung-sun.
Hi, Byung-sun.
Hi, Byung-sun.
Byung-sun and Sam, why don't you guys go on ahead?
Okay.
Yeah, Byung-sun's real shy. This book really helped us deal with it.
Okay.
So you're probably going to want to give it a glance.
My child is shy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Who's your son?
Byung-sun.
Oh, I see. Actually, you know what? I don't see. I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Now I see. Wow.
We're at every game. Not like a lot of the other parents.
No. Not like the other parents at all. Better. You're better than the other parents. Oh, so they're better? No. I mean, they're different.
What do you mean different?
No, you're different because you're better. How are they better? No, look, you're both better, different, in a different but better way.
Okay. You know what? Let's go do it.
A little early to start playing favorites, Phil.
Now you see that was not very long at all. But so imagine trying to compete with the entire film. Some of your students will probably have seen it already, and they'll want to talk about, oh, that was my favorite movie. You should have shown this part too. That's actually a good thing. They're applying their knowledge to a new text. So use that engagement, use that excitement to as a way of bringing them into a further conversation. But again, it's not very long. But what did you see? How did Phil react to this knowledge that he's talking to two lesbians? Did you happen to notice that they were playing around with the what we call the binary functions of sexuality? So in heterosexual relationships, we're used to seeing the man and the woman, the masculine and the feminine. But did you see how Anne Hogan was the typical feminine house mom, and then her partner said her partner's name was Donna Jones. But when she introduced herself to Phil, she grabbed his hand very masculine way and shook his hand really hard. She almost pulled his arm off. And so you can call me Chi. She's a very deep voice. And so play around with asking your students to identify these weird things and what was the film trying to say here. And so this is one of my favorite film clips to use because it talks about difference, but it also talks about the nuances of how we see difference activated. I'm going to give you another film clip to watch. This comes from the film South Park. South Park, longer, thicker, uncut. And so now if you watch South Park on TV, they can get quite raunchy. But this film clip I want you to see. It's pretty short, but it shows you the idea that oppression is about systems, about power. And so you'll see in the scenes you're about to see is there's a general talking to a corps of soldiers that are getting ready to go on a secret mission to Canada. And so he is calling his soldiers together or preparing to give them a pep talk about invading Canada. And he identifies Battalion 14, and you'll see all the brown people raise their hands, and he says to the brown people, so you are the all important first attack wave. You're going to go in first. He said you will suffer heavy losses. And in the background there's a shootout happening where all the brown people are getting killed. And then he talks to the white brigade and he says, you are Operation Get Behind the Darkies. And so his instructions are, he says, you are Operation Get Behind the Darkies and try not to get killed. So in a way, this system is designed to protect the white persons at the cost of the black persons, the black and brown persons. So you can see there's a system at play where we're preferencing one group over another. So here's the clip.
After the show, we will finally be sending ground troops into Canada. So let's strategize. Map! Our sources have told us that the Canadians are preparing for our invasion, so we must use caution. Each battalion has a specific code name and mission. Battalion 5, raise your hands. You will be the all-important first attack wave, which we will call Operation Human Shield. Hey, wait a minute. Now keep in mind, Operation Human Shield will suffer heavy losses. Battalion 14, right, you are Operation Get Behind the Darkies. You will follow Battalion 5 here, and try not to get killed, for God's sake. Are there any questions, men? Yes, soldier.
Have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation?
I don't listen to hip-hop.
I hope you laughed at it because it was funny. I think one of the things you have to give people license to do is enjoy what's funny. That, frankly, was funny. I don't listen to hip hop. So I think that is a really good moment for you to let students laugh and give them the power to laugh. Because one of the things that as you're engaging with some of the inappropriateness of some of the films we see, that you give them license to be free. Because some of this stuff is really hard. Some of this stuff is really painful. And beware that sometimes using film, because people react differently to different messages of film. I was giving a presentation once, and I thought, oh, I'm going to use a film clip from The Little Mermaid because I thought, it's simple, it's plain, it's innocuous. And I used the scene where Ariel is found in her undersea cave where she keeps all her human treasures. And her father found her there. And King Triton gets so angry, and he says that human beings he said they're a bunch of fish eaters and all that. So he wants to share his displeasure with Ariel. And so he uses his Triton, he blows up all her stuff. And she's left crying. And I thought I did a good thing. That wasn't until we went on a break after that, and then I had a participant in the audience who came to me in tears, and for her it caused a trigger for some abuse that she had in her own life from her that stems from her father. So I didn't even have a concept that could be what it was. I thought it was it's a Disney cartoon. It's for children. So just be aware that people can react differently to different messages. This final clip that I want you to see is from a film called Lords of Discipline. We typically are used to seeing racism, and this film clip is about racism, by the way. We're used to seeing the people in the white hoods and crossburnings and all that, and we say, oh yeah, that's racism. But I want you to see how racism is a different type of manifestation because it's about power. It's about who has the rights over who. And so in this scene, Gerald, Lords of Discipline, this film is all about an army school who is accepting its first black soldier. And the general, who they call Bear. Bear wants to protect this young man. And so he wants to give the assignment of watching the new soldier to another soldier, and they fear what they call the Corps of Cadets, which is a secret group that has hazing power. So in this clip, I want you to see how name calling is a tool, a manifestation of racism. How inequality in itself is a manifestation of oppression, and racism is just oppression by race. So watch this clip here, and then try to come up with some questions that if you were to use this clip in class, how might this be something you can use to create conversation?
What's the name of your company, Commander? What's the name of your company, Commander?
You what?
I don't know.
What?
What are you looking for? Fly shit and sugar. Yeah. Over there. Jesus Christ, he showed up.
I'm an ugly black boy, you said. I'm an ugly black boy,
I said I'm an ugly shoe shine. You said, boy.
I'm an ugly shoe shine.
God almighty damn.
You ain't here to fry chicken or mow the lawn. Niggers joining the long gray line.
Yeah, for about one night till the Corps of Cadets finds out
Yeah, picking into a jigaboo, a coon, why a plain old nigger. It's gonna hear 'em all. Worse by tomorrow.
What do you want with me?
Middle upper class team.
Bear, you're the commandant of cadets. I mean, it's your job to...
Not my job to play favor. No, it's gonna have to be a cadet who runs interference from Mr. Pierce.
Yeah, but interference against the whole Corps?
If that's what it takes.
Oh, Bear. Are you a racist?
Yeah, I'm a racist. I'd like nothing better than see Mr. Pierce move his black ass right out of here.
Well, then why not let him get pushed?
Because from now on, Pierce is one of my lambs, and all of my lambs get an even break.
Yeah, but putting my neck out for...
Who looked after you when you were a screw-up gnaw?
Well, you did, but...
Who saw something in you besides arrogance? Who made you into a cadet?
Bear, you did. Bubba?
I'm calling my mark a due.
So you can see this film club gives using film in class helps us to harness the energy of the classroom to bring students to a higher level of learning. You should not be surprised that our students are not media literate because they have never been told how or given the tools. And so what you're doing is increasing their wherewithal to have deeper discussions, particularly about diversity. But in order to have these deeper discussions, they need to be given some tools. And today, what I've done is give you some tools to help you get better at having these types of discussions. Remember, give your students a common lexicon to work from. Give them the language to speak fluently. Honor those, whomever they are, whatever their identity is, bring them in. So if they're majorities, they belong in this conversation. If they're minorities, they're in this conversation too. Don't play identity politics. You want to give everyone's room on the floor to talk, but understand that this is not about whose group has had it worse. This is really about we've all had it worse. Racism affects us all, not just brown people. White persons are victims of racism too. One of the ways that you become a victim is that you get lumped into a bigger whole, W-H-O-L-E. And so what you want to do, though, is give everyone a chance to be invited to the multicultural table. And so if you never heard anybody say this before, white teacher, you are welcome at the multicultural table. Yes, you. And so secondly, don't forget to include majorities. So I just said that. Talk about the value of systemic racism or oppression. Value open dialogue. Ask the right questions. You want to increase the literacy, the inquiry skills that our students have. Focus on issues and not politics, or unless politics are the issue, which is a whole nother conversation we need to have. But in the coming weeks, coming months, we're going to be talking about some things very specific. So in the month of November, we're going to be talking. So this month we're talking about race. Next month we're going to be talking about sexual orientation. That's an interesting ball of wax on all of itself. And then in December we're going to be dealing with poverty and homelessness, which affects far too many people in our little hometown. We're not a big city, just a little borough in the middle of nowhere, but we have poverty here. And so yes, in the middle of the richest country in the world, which is the language we love to use, we have poor people. So we're going to be engaging with how does poverty affect our students and how does it affect our school. And so I hope you're engaged for the ride. We want to get better. Don't forget to ask questions. Leave them here. If you have additional questions, leave them here in the chat. Because Dr. Keegan and Dr. Kirkpatrick and I really want to help you with whatever your needs are. I'm Brian Johnson. I've enjoyed being with you. Thank you and Godspeed and good luck.